There aren't too many folks out there who've had to stand in their own driveway and watch 4 cords of winter firewood, months of sweat chopping and stacking, get chewed up by chainsaws and burned to ashes just because someone in charge decided your family didn't fit their idea of community standards. But I have. That morning, the HOA president, Priscilla Westmont, stood there with her arms folded and that smug little grin while her hired crew cranked up their saws and went to work on my entire winter's heat. Didn't matter that I'd gotten every permit, had the fire department's blessing, had every signature the township could throw at me, none of it counted for a thing. Her whole justification boiled down to one sentence: people like you need to know your place. And just like that, an entire season's worth of hard work turned to smoke. Right beside me, my twin daughters Emma and Grace, wide-eyed and scared, already knew exactly what a Colorado winter could do to you if you lost your heat. Even as all that was going on, Priscilla's sprinklers kept blasting away, watering her precious grass right there in the middle of November. More than 60 neighbors peeked out from behind their curtains. Nobody lifted a finger. No surprise. People like her, the ones who love power, never bothered to check the old paperwork in someone else's basement. 3 months after that fire, she was the one banging on my front door begging for mercy. And I can't help but wonder, if someone torched your only heat source before winter, what would you do if you've ever crossed paths with an HOA dictator or survived some insane neighborhood rule? I want to hear your story down below. As for me, my name's Jake Hartwell. And when I inherited my grandfather's house, I also inherited a secret that would turn Priscilla's world upside down. I'm a third-generation mechanic in Millbrook Valley, Colorado. My wife Sarah runs the county library. She's seen every kind of troublemaker there is, and she can spot a bully a mile away. Our daughters, Emma and Grace, had never seen their dad back down from a fight, so what happened next left them confused and scared. When Grandpa Pete passed, he left me the house he built back in the 50s, smack in the middle of what's now Riverside Estates. When we moved in, I thought we'd finally found peace, at least until Priscilla showed up 3 days after the moving truck pulled away. Real estate agent by day, HOA queen by night, she'd been running the show here for 6 straight years, always carrying her plastic laminated rulebook, always with that fake friendly smile that says, "I'm about to ruin your day." She marched right up, eyes on my 12-year-old pickup measuring tape, out like she was inspecting hazardous waste. People like you need to maintain certain standards or property values suffer. Emma and Grace watched from upstairs, seeing their dad get talked down to like a school kid. Sarah gripped the kitchen counter, knuckles white. I understood exactly what Priscilla was about the minute she opened her mouth. Within 2 weeks, I saw the whole ugly pattern Stan Mueller fined for growing tomatoes. Lisa Park's kids lost their swing set. 82-year-old Mrs. Kowalski had to tear down her bird feeders. But the rich folks, Judge Hayes' grandkids, got a giant playground. The Hendersons put up a whole shed, and all they got were friendly reminders. If you worked with your hands, you got hammered. If you had money, you got a pass. One night, Sarah just sighed and said, "She's targeting us, Jake." The Hendersons do whatever she says. Brianna's too scared to vote against her, and the rest are all terrified of crossing her. That was when I started digging through Grandpa Pete's old boxes down in the basement. Sarah, with her librarian skills, sorted everything. Emma and Grace moaned about the smell, but in that mess, we found a thick manila envelope, Millbrook Creek Water Rights, 1947. Now, in Colorado, the first family to use water keeps the rights forever, no matter who buys the land later. Grandpa Pete sold most of his land to developers, but held on to those water rights, which now belong to me. Bob Morrison, our retired lawyer friend and former Buick repair client of mine, could barely get the words out, "Jake, you don't just own a house, you own the water." That made the HOA's war on my woodpile a whole lot more personal. Every fall, Grandpa Pete and I would split and stack wood for winter. This time I did everything by the book, 15 feet from the property line, tarped, inspected, signed off by the fire department. The girls helped me stack, and the piney air was thick with autumn. Still, Priscilla showed up, clipboard in hand. "Section 7.3.2 prohibits unsightly storage," she announced. I dusted off my hands. "Ma'am, this wood's been here for decades." She just smiled, cold as ice. "You have 72 hours to remove it or face escalating penalties." Within days, the certified letters started rolling in, fines piling up, 50, 100, then $200 a day. Sarah's face went pale reading it all. "How can they do this?" she whispered. But Bob said HOAs count on people folding under pressure. The only way to win is to fight back. So I requested a hearing. Priscilla scheduled it for 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, right in the middle of work hours. I came prepared, but the board didn't even bother to look at my documents. Decision had already been made. I'd witnessed my first HOA kangaroo court. That night I called the other families who'd been fined. Stan, Lisa, Mrs. Kowalski, same story every time. The rich get warnings, the rest of us get punished. I started gathering evidence, taking photos. Tom Wesley's garden. No fine. Judge Hayes's place at nothing. Henderson's unpermitted shed still standing. But every working-class house had violation notices taped to the door. When I confronted Priscilla, she said, "Some residents just understand the rules better than others. Maybe your family doesn't belong here." That was no suggestion, that was a threat. By November, the fines were up to $1,400 plus legal talk about property liens. My girls saw the stress in their parents' faces, the worry about losing our home. "Dad, why is she doing this to us?" Emma asked one night. "Because she thinks people like us don't belong," I answered, hating how beaten I sounded. The final straw. Early one morning, chainsaws in the driveway. Priscilla stood there with her nephew Derek, live streaming as 3 guys cut and burned my entire wood pile. My wife Sarah raced out as the flames started eating through 4 cords of seasoned oak. My kids watched me powerless while my family's heat for the winter disappeared. Neighbors watched from their windows, nobody helped. Then Priscilla handed me a bill for $2,400 in remediation costs. Emma cried. Grace shook with rage, and for the first time in my life, I felt completely beaten. That night, huddled around electric heaters, Emma remembered Grandpa's water rights. Sarah dug out the folder and we called Bob. He'd found something huge. Grandpa hadn't just owned the water. He'd set up a shell company, Millbrook Creek Water Services. The HOA had been paying $3,400 a month to access water money that had been going to Grandpa's estate and now to me. So while Priscilla was torching my firewood and fining me for it, she'd actually been paying me to water her lawn. From then on, I wasn't alone. I gathered up Stan, Lisa, Mrs. Kowalski, every family who'd been targeted. We met in my shop. After hours, the smell of oil and determination thick in the air. I showed them the legal proof. With proper notice, we can legally control their water. But we're fighting for justice, not revenge. Priscilla didn't back down. She tried everything. Intimidation, sabotage, even tried to buy me off with a $75,000 check likely embezzled. She tried to smear my name in the media. She even sent people to mess with my water monitors, didn't realize tampering with water infrastructure is a federal crime. Sarah uncovered even more $127,000 in missing HOA funds, fake invoices, consulting fees paid to herself. We handed everything over to the board and the police. When the HOA missed the legal deadline, I officially controlled the water system for the subdivision. Priscilla tried to bribe me, then accused me of domestic terrorism on the news. The FBI looked at my paperwork and security footage and knew exactly what was going on. It all came to a head at the big February meeting. The community center was packed, news cameras everywhere, deputies at the door. Priscilla tried to silence me, but Judge Hayes stood up. "Mr. Hartwell has the right to speak." Sarah laid out binders of financial evidence for all to see. The sheriff stepped up and arrested Priscilla on the spot. Embezzlement, false reports, and conspiracy. The room erupted in applause. Real justice right there in front of the whole neighborhood. Afterward, Priscilla pled guilty, got 18 months in federal prison, lost her real estate license, had to pay it all back. Stan Muller was elected the new HOA president. All the old aesthetic rules got scrapped. We started a scholarship fund for working families' kids funded by those same water payments. My girls were the first recipients. The neighborhood changed completely, folks, helping each other fix houses, trading tools, bringing back bird feeders and backyard gardens. My free auto clinic became an annual tradition. Sarah's library drive put books in local schools. Emma and Grace launched a youth volunteer group to help seniors. Even Derek got his act together, started a real landscaping business, and apologized for his part in it all. Standing in Grandpa's workshop that fall with the smell of oil and wood shavings in the air, I finally understood what he'd left behind. It wasn't just water rights, it was proof that regular people, when they know the law and stick together, can take down anyone no matter how powerful they think they are. Sometimes the person getting pushed around is the one holding all the cards if they're just patient enough. And if there's one lesson I learned, it's that revenge is easy, But justice builds something that lasts. Power without a conscience. That's trouble anywhere. So let me ask, have you ever dealt with 10 gods in your neighborhood, at work, anywhere? Would you fight back, cave in, or flip the whole script by knowing your rights and documenting everything? Share your story. Below, someone out there needs to know they're not alone in this fight for justice. If you love seeing bullies finally get what's coming to them, stick around. Sometimes all it takes to make justice pour down is a stubborn mechanic and a dusty old box of paperwork.